Hello, my name is Abrielle Negretti, and today I'm going to be going over my virtual library that I made on Google Books. So first starting off, I'm going to be talking about what this project did for me. The project was to read 3 books from 8 different genres that we were assigned. And doing this and creating a virtual library definitely changed my perspective about how I'm going to be a teacher soon and should start looking at books that I want in my library. This was really helpful in starting me off with the mindset that I'm going to have to start looking for books that I want my students to be exposed to, that I want them to be reading from. So obviously, you can see from my virtual library now that it's a lot more than 3 books for each of the genres, and this is just because this project really helped show me that I wanted to start I wanted to get a head start on some of the books that I wanted to start purchasing and I wanted to start looking into. And so I've started adding some of the books that I know I've personally liked reading and I would want in my virtual library just so I can have a a tally marker somewhere, a place where I can have all of these books so I can know where to go and buy them in the future. And it's really helped me think about what books I found impactful, what books I hope my future students will be impacted by, and then presented me with a lot more new books that I could read. Just because when I was a child, I normally tended to stay in the fantasy realm, and majority of the books I read were a part of this genre. So it was really interesting. Oops, sorry. It was really interesting getting to read books outside of the genre that I normally read growing up, and it was really impactful because some of these stories were really great and really left an impression on me. Looking at some of my favorite books, well, all of these are really great books. They're my favorite books, and that's why they're in here. But looking at one book that I read for the first time with this project was the book Shiloh, and I really appreciated that this book delved on some meaningful topics that I didn't think would be child appropriate, but really helped show children something that they could empathize with, something that they could think about that was deeper than just a normal book. Shiloh's about a little boy named Marty who finds an abused dog, and he works for the dog's owner, Judd, to be able to keep him. And it really shows the effect that abuse can have on animals. And it's, as a dog owner myself, I thought that this message was really important for students to have, and I really appreciated that this is a children's book that can be read, and I understand why it's an award winner. Another book that I really liked that I read for the first time was called The Name Jar. I think this book was really great. I really appreciated the message that it was sending, and this is definitely a book that I would want to use in my classroom and want to read to my class because I think it's really impactful and it says a lot about acclimation to American society for students that might be from different countries. This book is about a girl named Eunhye who struggles with her name because other students can't understand it or pronounce it properly. And I know my name, Abrielle, has been a name that I've struggled with students pronouncing correctly, and I all throughout elementary school, all throughout high school, I went by Abby because it was easier for people to say and they didn't have to roll the R for Abrielle. And that stuck with me all the way up until college when I decided that I shouldn't have to change my name and go by a nickname that I didn't like, just because others couldn't pronounce it properly, because I should be using that opportunity to educate others about my name. And this book was really impactful to me because I felt similarly to the way Eunhye felt about changing her name and wanting to acclimate, wanting to fit in with American society, and the ending ultimately showing that she decides to keep her name, she decides to hold on to her culture and instead use that moment to educate other students. And I really appreciated that message and definitely will be using this one in my classroom. Um, some other books, all of these informational biography books I really loved. I really liked Little Leaders and Little Legends about these books, these really cute children's books about Black history. But one of the books that I really enjoyed reading was a Brown Girl Dreaming, which is like a biography and I think considered poetry about Jacqueline Woodson, who was born in Ohio and ended up the book really discusses segregation in the South, where her mother and father lived before they split in South Carolina. And I thought the topics that this book addressed were really important, and I think it's important to show students that this history is real, that there is still people to this day that lived this history of segregation in America, and it's not too far off. And I think that issues like that and history like that should be addressed early on, and that's why I really liked this book and would definitely be using it in my classroom. Some of the books that I didn't like that I read, I can't really think of any. I think luckily when I looked up books to read for these topics, I looked up um what came up first for popularity for these, like what's the most popular diverse population books. And I looked at different lists. So like getting books like The Name Jar and getting books like Lovely, all of them were obviously popular and liked for a reason. So I ended up really enjoying all of the books that I read. And every one of the books that I read, every one of the books that I have in here, I think are definitely books that I would present to my classrooms if it is age appropriate. Obviously, some of these um, books are going to be for older students, maybe junior high, but all of these books I really love, and I think all of these have something to teach students and are really impactful. And that's how I felt about the project. I'm really thankful that I got to do this, that I got to read some of these books, and that I now have a place and understanding about Google books and Google Libraries in some place that I can put some of the books that I really love in a category and be able to use it for my future library. So thank you so much for that.